and I cranked my head up just in time to spot this. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was a classic flying disc-shaped object. I don't think that it was physically on fire. It was almost like this, almost like magma type glow was wrapped around the front of it.
So Ross Coulthard is coming at us with one of the most wild things you've ever heard, ever. So make sure do not miss this. Do not go anywhere, cause today, guys, we're gonna be talking out about a specific craft that you're not gonna want to miss.
Sticking out your tongue for the picture. You're so pretty, you're so popular.
And it's my pleasure today to welcome a gentleman by the name of Joshua Shelton, who was entrusted during his military service to provide security at Area 2 in the early 2000s. Now, we've talked before on Reality Check about the obvious nexus between UAPs, paranormal phenomenon, and nuclear weapons and facilities. And what Joshua is going to reveal today is quite extraordinary. It's a story that's never been told before. He was present at Area 2 during an alarming series of paranormal UAP events there.
And what Joshua provides Ross Coulthard changes absolutely everything. There's skinwalker type effects happening to people, following them, and it's the same thing we've been seeing on Skinwalker Ranch. So the UAP Skinwalker, effect is kind of happening everywhere where this kind of activity is, and it is happening inside military governmental installations and sites, and it's absolutely crazy. Is the military going to be providing free psychological help to all these people having to deal with this bullshit, right?
Let's move on. There was another incident where a large disc-shaped craft crashed after silently overflying the storage depot complex. Tell me that story.
So this one's a little disturbing for me because somehow I completely forgot about this incident, and I don't know how I could have forgotten because it was so obvious. It was right over my head. And when we talked, you got in contact with Robert Hastings, who I had originally talked to shortly after I had separated. Um, so I can't explain how I could have forgotten about this, but as soon as you showed me what I had told Mr. Hastings, I remembered the incident. Um, I was on the alert fire team, which was stationed at the alternate security control center, and we were outside. A few of the guys smoked, so we were outside with them, kind of joking and just hanging out. One of the other patrols was there, so it was a total of 6 people outside. And I remember that the guy that I'm facing, we're talking, joking about something, and he kind of looks up above my head and his eyes just go wide. And as soon as that happens, I kind of turn my head to look over my shoulder. And as I'm turning my head, I see this reddish glow that kind of approaches on the ground. And I crank my head up just in time to spot this. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was a classic flying disc-shaped object. I don't think that it was physically on fire. It was almost like this, almost like magma type glow was wrapped around the front of it, and that was what was illuminating the ground underneath it. But it was flying maybe 200 to 300 feet above our heads, very low. And as it approached and came over us, it actually deadened sound wherever it moved. Like the natural sounds of like the building right next to us, the desert, other patrols in the distance, they got very faint, almost like when you stick your head underwater. And as soon
Is
as
there
it
any noise
cleared,
from the object at all? Do you hear anything like a propeller or a jet or a turbine?
nothing like that. A little bit of a hum, but I don't like I don't know if it was the object creating the hum or maybe its interaction with the atmosphere.
Now, let's not beat around the bush here. This is a craft a solid physical craft of some kind, breaching the airspace over what is probably one of the most sensitive facilities in the United States, if not the world. This is where thermonuclear weapons are stored. Describe what happens.
So the object came right overhead, and you could tell it was losing altitude because it was dipping down lower as it came and passed over us. As soon as it was clear of us, that's when sound returned and you could hear everything normal. We immediately got on the radios. By the time we got the first radio call out, the object had cleared the perimeter fence line, and it seemed to go behind this area that we call the bluffs, which is what kind of blocked us from view from the rest of the desert. And once it went down behind the bluffs, there was a massive flash of like orangish reddish light, and it was so big that all of us kind of braced ourselves because we honestly thought whatever this thing is, it's just crashed, and like it's such a huge explosion, we're gonna get knocked off our feet.
How big was
And
the object?
I'm a little hesitant because at nighttime and you don't have a good reference, I estimated it was 200 to 300 feet above our heads. If that estimate is right, and I'm fairly confident that I'm right about that, I would say it's about 45 to 50 feet across. So it
Wow.
was a good size object. It wasn't a drone. It was very large. I've
Could
been
it have
next to
been a could
military
it have been an
aircraft.
aircraft of some type? Maybe a blimp or is there any kind of known prototype or craft that you can think of that might plausibly explain the shape that you saw?
So it was definitely not a conventional aircraft. It had no wings. It was a perfect disc-shaped object.
Any
Um,
windows, lights?
we only saw the underside, and the underside was perfectly smooth. There was no, I mean, it did go by pretty fast, but there was no obvious markings, no obvious
Was it
signs of.
did it have a metallic sheen to it, or was it of unknown construction? Did it look constructed?
It definitely looked like it was something that was built, and whatever this reddish glow at the front of it was, it consumed about a quarter of the craft or the object, and it was reflecting off the bottom. So that's why I know that even though it was dark, that's why I know that it definitely had a sheen to it of some sort. Like it was able to reflect that light from this glow.
And so you hear this massive explosion. Was there a concussion? Was there a
So
physical force from the blast?
So that's the thing. We didn't hear an explosion. We saw as soon as it went under or behind the bluffs, and again, it was definitely on a downward trajectory. We saw the bright flash of that orangish light. There was no sound, and we braced ourselves. There was no sound. There was no concussive force. There was nothing that you would expect. I mean, we kind of felt stupid because we suddenly like you do this dumb pose where you duck down. Nothing, no sound, no force,
So
absolutely nothing.
what's the response to something like that? Clearly, something has breached the airspace over an incredibly sensitive facility. You've obviously got to go and investigate.
Yeah, so I know on the central security controller side, one of the first things that he would have done would have been to contact main base, to contact the air traffic control tower. So I know that they would have done that. I don't know the results of that from that night, but as far as us out on patrol, we immediately went mobile. Anytime there's like a major, significant security incident, but no specific threat, everyone goes mobile. Everyone's in their vehicles, fully kitted up, ready for something to happen. The exterior patrols, Oscar 1 and Oscar 2, they were dispatched out to go to the bluffs because we expected an object to be crashed there. We fully expected to find like hurt people, something. So they immediately went out there to start looking for this object, and they found nothing. There was nothing out there. Now, granted, we were limited in how far we were allowed to go from the perimeter to like maybe 300 to 400 meters. Um, but I just find it incredible to think that there was no wreckage, that there was nothing, no signs of this accident.